Welcome to This Explainer. Let's just dive right in, because today we are looking at a radical paradigm shift from our sources that might literally shatter everything you thought you knew about making money. Seriously, if you've ever watched someone make 10 or even 20 times more money than you and wondered how on earth that's even physically possible, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break down the actual structured framework behind exponential wealth. Now, I want you to truly imagine something for a second. What if you could compress 12 whole months of your current earnings into just 30 days? What if you could literally turn your yearly income into your monthly income? I know it feels like a total stretch, kind of like a fantasy, right? But this isn't about magic. It's about fundamentally changing the mechanics of how you generate value. And, that brings us to this incredibly counterintuitive claim from our source. It's easier to make $1 million a month than a year. I know. That sounds completely absurd. No way, right? It feels like it goes against all logic. But stick with me here. We're going to break down the mechanics behind this concept by looking at exactly how the ultra-wealthy structure their effort versus their output. Section 1. The microcosm principle. So our source learned this absolutely fascinating foundational rule during a chat with a 27-year-old physicist on a flight from San Diego to Baltimore. It's called the microcosm principle. By definition, if a principle works in one arena, it must be true in a completely different arena. It's like cross-pollination. Steve Jobs actually used this exact thing. He took a college calligraphy class and applied those principles of beautiful design to the computer industry, eventually revolutionizing 5 different industries. Today, we're going to take a principle from transportation and apply it directly to revolutionize your bank account. Moving right along to Section 2, escaping the financial foot race. Culturally, we are totally programmed to equate grueling, exhausting physical labor with wealth. Like, to make more, you just gotta work harder, right? Well, let's challenge that with a quick transportation analogy. Imagine a race. If I'm racing you and we're both running, whoever is the better athlete wins. But what if I have a bicycle? I can go twice as far, way faster, and use way less energy. What if you get a bike, but I upgrade to a car? Boom, I go 50 miles effortlessly. And if you get a car, I upgrade to an airplane or a jet. I can always make up and leverage what I lack in raw physical ability. In transportation, we use machines to go incredibly farther and faster while using barely any physical energy at all. Because here's the absolutely crucial point. Leveraged work is always better than laborious work, period. If that principle is true in transportation, the microcosm principle dictates it just has to be true in finance. The people making 20 times more money than you, they aren't working 20 times harder, they don't have magically more hours in the day. They simply traded their financial running shoes for a jet. They completely replaced labor with leverage. Section 3. The 4 levels of value. Okay, so how do you actually acquire this leverage? Well, it all comes down to 4 progressive levels of value. At the very bottom, we have implementation. The formula here is your physical muscles multiplied by time. Next up is unification, which is management multiplied by time. Then we jump up to communication, which is using your mouth multiplied by a message. And finally, at the very top, the whole shebang, imagination, which is your mind multiplied by money. Notice how those bottom levels rely on incredibly limited resources, your physical energy and your time. Relying on those is exactly what keeps you trapped. Let's actually compare those bottom 2 levels for a second. Down in implementation, doing the actual physical work, your income limit is generally capped around $80,000 a year. Now, if you upgrade your skills to unification, meaning you're managing the people who do the implementation, you finally have some leverage by delegation. That can push your income up to maybe $250,000 a year. It's much better, for sure. But even if you upgrade from doing the work to managing the work, you still hit a ceiling on your income because at the end of the day, it's still tied to time. But then our source points out something really fascinating right here. They say, above this line, wealth begins to be created. We are officially crossing the threshold from the bottom 2 levels into the top 2 levels. We're moving away from time and physical limits and stepping straight into the realm of infinite scale. Just take a second to process that number. $100 million. That is the staggering, almost unbelievable upper potential of the communication level. When you operate up here, you aren't managing 5 employees. You are communicating the right message to the masses. Whether you're writing a best-selling book, acting in a massive blockbuster, or speaking to an audience of millions, communicating effectively has virtually no ceiling. Section 4. The leverage of language. Now I hear you. You might be a little skeptical right now. Like, why on earth does talking pay exponentially more than hard physical labor, like hammering nails or carrying bricks? It feels a little unfair, doesn't it? Well, to understand the psychological leverage of communication, think about a $100 bill. Ever since we went off the gold standard, that little piece of paper isn't backed by gold. There's literally no physical value to the paper itself. It only has value because of the message printed on it, $100, and the incredible faith that message creates in the minds of the people using it. Words, language, and communication are what build faith and move the masses. And that right there is exactly why the market pays communicators exponentially more than laborers. All right, Section 5, Imagination, Boundless Wealth. This leads us to the absolute highest tier out there, imagination. The formula here, mind times money. Our source shared an incredible story about this. Back when he was making $30,000 a month, which, by the way, he thought was absolute baller money, far more than anyone he knew, he attended this elite wealth retreat. When he proudly shared his income with the host just smiled and replied, "Wow, you're about to have a breakthrough to the really big money." He realized right then and there that making $30K a month wasn't even considered big money at the imagination level. Your only limit here is what your mind can conceive and the capital you deploy to build it. Section 6. Prove it. The YouTube journey. Let's ground these kind of mind-bending concepts with some real-world numbers, directly from the source's own communication leverage journey. It's one thing to just talk about millions. It's another to see the exact blueprint of how this leverage is built from scratch. Get this, he started posting on YouTube all the way back in 2007. And believe it or not, he didn't even discover YouTube monetization until 2021. But in 2022, he finally committed to consistently posting videos. He sat down, stopped running financially, and really practiced his communication. And what happened just months later? An absolute explosion in revenue. This proves that literally anyone can build leverage if they're willing to put in the reps and learn how to communicate. And these numbers brilliantly illustrate that explosion. Look at this. The first month of taking it seriously, he made $1,400. Not bad, right? Actually, it's a great start. But the second month, it jumped to 15 grand. And just a couple of months later, $44,000 a month. This is the explosive, exponential month-over-month growth that happens the second you step out of the implementation level and start applying the leverage of communication. Section 7. Decide your financial future. So the question isn't really whether this works anymore. The question is, what are you going to do about it? It's time to cut off the excuses. Our source gives us very specific actionable steps to transition your life right now. First, stop running financially. Stop relying purely on your physical labor. Second, upgrade your thinking. You really have to understand the microcosm principle. Third, read more books and watch less TV, because you need to gather broad, interesting concepts to communicate. And finally, start communicating your message. Start a channel, write a book, record your thoughts. Just do it consistently. And honestly, the very best way to upgrade your thinking is to surround yourself with high-level value on a daily basis. So if you're serious about stepping out of that foot race and into a leveraged life, your perfect first step is right here. Go ahead and drop a like on this explainer, comment your biggest takeaway down below, share this with someone who really needs to hear it, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an explainer that can change your financial trajectory. So I want to leave you with this final, hopefully memorable question that brings our whole microcosm metaphor full circle today. Will you spend the rest of your life running financially, just exhausting yourself for tiny, incremental advances, or will you take the time, learn the skills, and build a jet? The decision is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.